At the start of this manga, the MC, who is just born, few hours earlier, someone was calling MC, and he wakes up, and he was wondering on where he is, to which someone replies with, that he is in a space between the worlds. And she goes on by saying that he got killed by Truckkuin to save a girl that was about to get killed. Afterwards he asks her on what happened to the girl he saved, to which she says that the girl he tried to save was fine. And she goes on by saying a joke about him worrying about others over him, which he humbly rejects it by saying it was just a fluke. Hearing that, she started to laugh while blushing. And she introduced herself as a creator of the world, which was a different world. Hearing that, he was shocked. And he goes on by thinking that how could this beautiful lady be a creator of the world? But she heard that and she started to smile. And he realizes that she can read his mind. Afterwards the god says that the girl he saved was actually destined to save the earth in the future. Afterwards she goes on by saying that the accident was really unexpected, even for the gods of earth. And everything in there doesn't always goes as planned. Since he got in the way, his soul has been removed from the cycle of reincarnation. And because of that, the god of this world decided to accept him to her world. Afterwards she goes on by saying that this world as magic. And she asks him if he is okay with having his memory intact, to which he says okay. Afterwards she says that she is going to give him some blessings, while saying other gods might come to give him more blessings. And after finishing the explanation, she sends him to the other world. And he disappeared. Afterwards she thinks to herself that it's been a while since she took a liking to a human. And she goes on by saying that she gave him a powerful blessings. Afterwards someone asks him if he is awake, and then he realizes he got reincarnated as a baby. Afterwards he realizes that he can't talk and can't even lift his hands. After that someone comes in saying if Al the baby is born. And then that girl says it's his father that just came in. And his father realizes that he have two type of eye colors. And then he takes a magic ball and tells Al to touch it. And he touches it. And to everyone's surprise it glowed like a rainbow color. Afterwards his father says that this color means he have a high amount of magic power. After that his father says that he is going to report it to the king, since he might be a reincarnation of a god. While he was being shocked because of his powers. After that they decided to keep it a secret from the public. And he tells the maid to not tell it to anyone. And his mother was really happy. And 3 years later, Al was 3 years old. And ever since he did an aptitude test, everyone around him is treating him like a divine creature. Afterwards someone was calling him. But he didn't realize it, and he asks the maid on what happened. And the maid says that they arrived to the room. And before entering she tells him to greet the master correctly. And she opens the door. After coming in, his family was sitting there and he tells to them sorry, since he arrived late. Afterwards, his father tells him that they will now pray to the god of this world before eating. Afterwards, while eating, Al was thinking that every nobles has Phil in their middle names. And he says her mother also have Phil in her name, while she is saying Al is really cute. Afterwards his stepsister says that he spilled some soup. Hearing that he said sorry, while she is crashing out saying that he is really cute. And she goes on by saying that she is going to eat him. Afterwards he was his second brother, who also says that Al is really cute. And then his brother asks him on what he is going to do today. To which he says that he is going to read book. But this made brother shocked, and he asks him if he can already read. To which he says he can't. And he goes on by thinking that ever since he got reincarnated, he can actually understand the language but cannot read. Afterwards his father realizes that he is now 3 years old, so which means he can read with his brothers and sisters. Hearing that, Al was really happy. But all of his family members are thinking that was really cute. Afterwards all of them was talking to themselves saying that they will work hard. While Al was thinking everyone is pouring their love at him. After 3 days later, her stepsister shows her test results. And she realizes that Al already remembered every single one from the alphabet. And he goes on by thinking that the problems are like elementary school level, so it was really easy for him to do it. While his sister is saying that she should work hard too. And he thinks to himself that his sister is the one that's amazing. Since it's easier for him because he has his old life's memory. But for her everything is new. And he thinks to himself that she is actually getting motivated when a kid below her age beat her, rather than getting angry. And he realizes that he has been blessed with a great family. Afterwards he reads a story where is a guy that prayed for 3 days and 3 nights to summon the king's spirit. And he asked the spirit to take his life and give his daughter his life. And the wish was granted. And then the daughter was so sad that she created a whole new kingdom on where his dad disappeared. And for some reason in that place flowers bloom there all year. After reading it, he thinks to himself that it's like reading a fairy tale from his old world. And then he asks the maid if the story is real. To which she says that there is actually a place exists where the flowers bloom all year around. Afterwards he thinks to himself that despite being a maid, she knows many things. And he asks her if she is really a maid. To which she smilingly says that she will tell him about that when he is older. Afterwards he goes to sleep, thinking that today was really a fulfilling day. Afterwards he realizes that he is in a room where it seems like his old room. And all of a sudden someone comes in and says that it's their space. Hearing that, Al realizes that he is a god. Afterwards he says he loves the Japanese-style room. To which Al was thinking on what type of god he might be. To which he suddenly says that he is a god of magic. After hearing that, he asks the god on what he needs from him. To which he asks him if the other god didn't told him. Hearing that, Al realizes that he is here to give him blessings. To which the god says that's right. Afterwards the god says that his past life's actions were so great that he deserves having magic. And he asks him if he can try the magic. Afterwards the god tells him that there is no time and wishes him good luck. Afterwards he wakes up and thinks that it doesn't feel like he slept at all. After that many gods came to visit him and gave him many blessings. Afterwards it been weeks, Al and his brother were walking in the mountains while he was thinking that he shouldn't study magic until he is 5 since it's dangerous. And his brother asks him if he is fine, to which he says he is fine. And he goes on by saying that he is happy to be with his brother, which made his brother to get really happy. And all of a sudden a huge bear comes in. Looking at Al thinks to himself that dangerous monsters shouldn't be coming here. And that bear attacks his brother, which made him to fly away. And as a result he got knocked down. And Al was panicking. And while he is thinking, his brother tells him to run. And he realizes that if he runs his brother will be killed. And in the end he decides to take the sword. And swings it. And that bear was cut in two. Which made a huge beam of light cutting through the entire forest. Which made him shocked. Afterwards he was just standing there and watching it. And then Al was really confused thinking on what he should do. Afterwards he brought his brother to the mansion, and he started to think that he might accidentally hurt the people he loves if he isn't careful. And someone knocks on the room door. And then his brother asks him if he is okay, to which he asks back the same question. And then his brother says that he is okay, since the bird made the bear run away. Afterwards his brother leaves the place telling him to sleep. Afterwards he goes to sleep. And he thinks to himself that it's dangerous to practice here. And he starts to think that he should have asked for proper instructions after receiving a blessing. Afterwards he wakes up. And he was standing in the grass field. And all of a sudden a god with wings comes in, saying it's her place. Looking at her he was shocked thinking that it's a girl who speaks like a boy. Afterwards she introduces herself as a god of spirit named Mamamado. And she notices something and comes near him, which made him to blush. And she says that he received a lot of blessings, that he is no longer a human. And she asks him if he is okay. To which he started to crash out saying that he is not okay, while explaining the things that happened in the forest. And she realizes that it's the responsibility of the gods, since they didn't teach him. And she goes on by saying that with many blessings and with the right training, he can even defeat a god. And she says that she is here to give him blessings as well. But then she says that he might throw world half balance if he only receives powers. And Al thinks to himself that the fantasy powers are cool, but the world ending is bad. And all of a sudden she says that she will teach him on how to control his powers correctly. Hearing that, he was really happy. But then she suddenly says that this will also be a test to see if he is worthy of the power, and if he fails he won't be receiving it. And she asks him if he is okay with that. And he says yes. And then she says that they are going to start the training right now. And she goes on by saying that the time doesn't pass here like in the real world. So he doesn't have to worry. Afterwards, she started to explain to him on how to use the magic, while he was wondering on where did the blackboard came from. And she goes on by saying that there are 8 elements are there and he got every one of them, and she even says that the gods itself only has 1 elements. And she tells him to control his magic by feeling his magic flow inside his body. And she tells him to think of it like a flow of blood. And he started to concentrate, and suddenly she tells him to jump, which he did, and to his surprise he jumped 20-story buildings height in an instant. And she tells him to keep his energy into his legs when he gets down, or else he will get hurt. Hearing that, he was shocked. And he comes in and lands, which made a huge explosion. Afterwards, she says it was a quiet impact he made. Afterwards, he looks at the hole he made, which was really big. And all of a sudden, she casts another magic, which made that hole in the ground go away. And she tells him to break anything in here, since she can repair it in an instant. And then she tells him that he used too much of magic on that time. Afterwards, the lessons continued for a long time. And she taught him everything from the basic to intermediate level. Afterwards, he asks her on how she knew about the blessings of the other gods, to which she says that she is a spirit god of miracles, so it's easy for her. Afterwards, she tells to him that she taught him on everything he needs to know. Now all he have to do is to practice it steadily. And she says that they are about to start the final test, which is to fight her, and he have to win the battle. Only then he will receive the blessings from her. And she tells him that if he touches her neck with the sword, he wins. Afterwards, he thinks to himself that he doesn't get many chances to go all out in the reality world, so he thinks that he should go all out. And then he tells to her okay. Afterwards, she flies upwards, while saying start. And he thinks to himself that he should first get close to her. And he decides to use wind magic to levitate himself. And looking at him, she congrats him for applying the things he learnt. And he casts a fire magic, which she dodges it right away. Afterwards, he goes on by casting many fire magics at the same time. But she dodges everything with ease. Afterwards, he casts a huge magic above her, and that lightning from that spell shocked her. And then she started to blush, saying that's the spirit. And to her surprise, he comes close to her, and he attacks her with his sword, but she says too slow, and vanishes. And while he was searching for her, she touches her cheeks. And he shakes her off. And he thinks to himself that if this was a real battle, he would have died. And she asks him if he is already giving up, and then he started to fall down, to which she says that he cut down his magic. And she started to think that it's too early for him to be tired, and she comes to the conclusion that he must have used all the magic while flying. But then he suddenly uses more fire magic. And she started to think that increasing the number might have good chance of hitting her, but it's not good enough to beat her. And then she started to think he is still doing good for someone that's doing it for the first time. And he thinks to himself that he can't even hit him. And then he lands, but it didn't make huge explosion. He realizes that using smoke magic won't do any good, since the god can sense his presence. And he thinks for a while, and then he uses a smoke bomb. And she was wondering its smoke screen. And she uses her eyes to see through the smoke. And she finds him inside the smoke. And then she charges in, while saying it's useless to hide. And to her surprise, it was a stone wrapped with magic. And she was shocked. Afterwards, he comes from behind, and uses his sword and touches her neck with his sword. And she realizes that she got lost, and says good work since he used a decoy. After doing that, he was really happy, and she says that she can't believe he actually won. And then she says that she have seen enough of his skills. And she tells him that there is something important thing to tell him. And she goes on by saying that he have acquired and learned how to control the great magic, and she tells him to not be afraid to use it when the time actually comes. Hearing that, he says understand. Afterwards, she gives him her blessings as well. And she gave it to him. Afterwards, she tells him to channel magic to his eyes when he returned to the real world, since she gave him a magic eyes, where he can absorb and see others' magic and their stats. And also he can see spirits. Afterwards, she says it's goodbye. And then in the end, she tells him to not misuse his power, and tells him that they will meet afterwards. And then he wakes up, and he thinks to himself that she was really friendly god. And after waking up, he uses the magic in his eyes. And then he opens his eyes,